Hail and welcome to the Black Tower. I'm your host, your guide, your brother, Sorcerer Armana Soul. So where the hell have I been? What the hell have I been doing? Well, that's a very interesting question. Rather a long one though, so I'm going to keep this one simple. Alright, so for all the good things in your life, sometimes you have to deal with small, T90, irritating things. That's what I've been having to deal with. It's crazy stuff like my computer. My computer is deader than hell, and now I got to get another one. And so it's going to be a little while before I can do that. Thankfully, though, I have a stupid little tablet that I always make my videos on, so here we go. Now, I have, over the last couple of weeks, this is what I've been doing magically. So for the last couple of weeks, I am way behind in the video series for the Azonei. Any rate, so the last one I was talking about was Hoover. Yeah, we're now into, if you follow the Necronomicon, and at the front thing where it shows the different months and stuff, in the Viper. That's Gemini. See? Pretty little stone. Oh yeah, I paint these things every month, meditate on them, work through them and everything else. But unlike the other gates, now you remember I was telling you in Hoover, it is the connection to the 11 children, the demons, the different children that she made. Well, what is the Viper? What is it about? What does it do? Okay, so the Viper represents envenoming. Now, what is envenoming? Envenoming, to be able to do this, I'm going to have to explain to you what the constellation of Gemini is all about. Okay, so in Greek mythology, you had two brothers, two twins, Castor and Pollux. Those are the two beings that are holding hands. Here's something interesting. One was immortal and one was mortal. When the mortal brother died, the immortal brother was so sad that he gave up his immortality that he may be human and die and join his brothers. Because of his sacrifice, the twins were placed into the sky. Now, this is according to Greek mythology, okay? Now, how does this equate to the Viper? Well, let me start by doing this the best way I can. Okay, so the twins. One represented mortality, one represented immortality. If you look up the constellation online and you go to images, you'll notice that in between the two, that there's a star that's a little bit lower. It looks like they're holding hands. It means that they are connected. But unlike the constellation where they are side by side, in the human being, they are above and below because they represent your daemon, your genius, your higher self, and then your physical self, the mortal self and the immortal self. And they are bound together holding hands. How do they hold hands? I'm glad you asked. Through the heart chakra. The heart chakra is the chakra that is between the three higher chakras and the three lower chakras. The three lower chakras are more concentrated, directed towards your physical self, and the three higher ones, the three upper chakras, represent, more of a connection to your higher self. This is how the constellation of Gemini connects to us individually. Now, I had a few notes on this that, I was trying my best to figure out how I would word this, how I'd put this out there. Now that you have the basic understanding of your higher self and your physical self as being one and being connected, now then let us get to the Viper. The symbol, now in the Necronomicon in the front, next month, so I believe it's next month, is going to be the snake. So you're trying to figure out how the Viper and the snake come together. Well, it's because they symbolically represent two different things. The Viper is a poisonous snake, okay? So by this, it is the envenoming, the poison. Now here's a funny thing. If you think about it, the common cold, the flu, or any kind of virus is considered a poison. or a toxin to your system. Otherwise, your body wouldn't try to fight it off. Now, let's say that, you know, you get sick and your body's immune system starts to fight the cold or the flu or whatever. What is it doing? It is taking this foreign host that has come in and is attacking your system and is fighting back. But that's not all it's doing. Now, actually, what is actually happening, and I won't get into this in a chemistry style way or a biology or anything like that, but I'm gonna try to keep it stupid simple. Uh, what's happening in the sense of the viper when it bites you, poison enters in. It is no different than a cold or a virus. Okay, it's something that attacks you. Here's the thing: your immune system, when it fights it off, is actually stronger for having fought it off than it would have been anyway. But have you ever noticed that, like if a poisonous snake bites you, you've got to go to the hospital, and you got to get antivenom and all this other stuff. But that's to help your body fight off the negative effects of it. The cold or a virus, you go get antibiotics, cold medicine over the counter, whatever. Helps your immune system fight this off. So in this sense, something is coming in and your body is transforming it. Now, how is it that it's transforming it? Because it's taking it and fighting against it, and it's building up an immunity to it. Therefore, it's taking the poison and the damage and the harm, and it is boosting itself, and it's becoming stronger. You know how they say some people, you either live or you die, you either sink or you swim, all these different terminologies. Well, Gemini, or the constellation of Gemini, concerning the Azonei in this sense, is where you truly start to connect with your higher self. You connect the higher and the lower, and you make them one being. Same way as toxins or sickness come in and your body fights it, changes it, transforms it. And in this sense, it is overcome. You become stronger. Now, some people that get bit, they do die. Some people that catch the cold or the flu, they die. It just happens. You either sink or you swim, whatever you die, whatever. But this is where stupid sayings like that came from, is, instances like that. But the constellation of twins of Gemini is concerning the Necronomicon and the Viper. It is a lesson. And the reason why I was telling about the Greek mythos is to show you that if you don't combine your higher self or your super conscious with your conscious, not overcome anything. Because see, when they say that you need to know yourself, that's part of what they're talking about. Know your higher self. Know the spiritual side of yourself. Know the spiritual being, the God aspect of yourself. And in so doing, when you integrate it and you make it one, then you have overcome it. And that is one of the challenges and trials of the Viper, of the Necronomicon, or the Gemini. It is a combination of them. It is how you culminate them. With that in mind, I thought that this was rather interesting, as that last month when Gemini came in and I was like wanting to do a video on it, I realized real quickly, I cannot just slap a video together about it. Oh yeah, I could tell you the details and stuff. But to have a personal experience, to have firsthand knowledge. Because see, I'm not an armchair theorist. Whatever I show on here, whatever I talk about, it's stuff I know, like I really know it. Like, I've experienced it, worked with it, so forth and so on. This Gemini energy, the Viper, has been one of the hardest of the Azonei, because you got to think of the Azonei as internal trials, as internal workings, not so much external in the order, but the internal chaos and how you're putting it in order. And so this has been one of the harder Azonei for myself. I had fun with Kingu. I enjoyed the Huber and all that. That was fine. Those were okay. But this one was a lot different. It was a lot harder because I have been going through so many changes mentally, emotionally, dealing with stuff, in the subconscious realm. I've been finding out what connects me and my higher self, my genus, my daemon, whatever you want to call it. What makes me and it one. Because when I speak to it, when I pray to it, I don't imagine that it's separate from me. No, 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 no. It's like I'm praying to myself. It's like I'm talking to myself. But instead of like sitting there like, oh, hey, well, and blah, 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 and talking to myself, it's not like that. It's an inner dialogue. And in this, I am making a connection with the God aspect of myself and the divine aspect of self. Well, in the last couple of weeks working through the Viper Azonei, uh, I don't really know how you would say that, but it's considered the Viper in the Simon Necronomicon. But working through the Gemini energies, when you think Azonai, you think too much about zodiac and all this other stuff, and yeah, there are some parts of it that is true, like how it equates to Mercury. And Mercury is a transformational planetary energy. Not only is it the messenger and how you create speed in your spellcraft, Mercury transforms. And so, in this sense, Gemini energies transform. You're transforming the two just like poisons or sickness get transformed within you and you build an immunity to it, or you boost your you boost your system for it. And in this sense, what I've been dealing with for the last couple of weeks, although I've been blessed tremendously, there have been things I've had to work on. Like, the fact that I'm so used to closing myself off to the world that all of a sudden I make new friends, which has happened. And I'm like, and these are people that, they're just beginning on their magical journey. And I don't wish to direct them upon the path. No, 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 no. I just want to be friends. And if they, ask me questions, I answer them. But at the same time, I'm having to get used to figuring out how to talk to young practitioners who don't think they know everything underneath the sun. And it's not a problem of ego on my behalf or even on their behalf, but it's the part where I'm having to learn how to interact. And I'm having to learn how to trust in my higher self and allow people close to me physically and not think they're out to screw me over, but that they're just wanting to be friends. So, see, this is one of the things I've been working on. Also, my internal self towards my belief system. Oh my goodness, I don't know what the planets are doing. I've tried to look it up on videos and stuff, and I guess it makes sense. And oh, this is in backward spinning or whatever it's called, and all this, that, and the other, and just trying to understand how planetary influences work in us and in our subtle bodies, and then having to pay attention to what's going on inside myself and how I'm reacting to people and to situations and to, all kinds of things. You know, and so I'm having to learn how to transform the inner me. I'm having to learn how to make true gold, how to make the pure quintessence, or whatever terminology you wish to use, of alchemy. And and this has been really difficult for me because the Azonai are so different than the Zonai. And in the beginning I thought, oh, you have to create like a gate walking order, which I did, but I found that the easiest, best way to tap in to the Azonai is through deep meditation, but not like out of body experience or astral travel where you're going out, delving inward, because the gates are inside, not outside of yourself. Like the Zonai, the gates are outside. I mean, they're inside and outside at the same time. But the Azonai, the gates to the Azonai, are actually within you. They're in your subconscious. And so the workings are a whole lot different. And I don't profess to be a know-it-all or a master of it or anything like that. I'm just working through this the best I know how. And I put out as many tips or tricks as I can come up with or anything like that. But any advice I give it's not the words of truth. It's not like, this is how you do it. I'm just telling you how I do it. And if it works for you, if it helps you, awesome. Now, with that in mind, I wanted to go over one last thing, and maybe I won't make this video too long. But I want to, in the next week or so, I'm going to make another video on a knowledge lecture, because I'm about a month behind on a knowledge lecture. I know I didn't put one out last month. But I'm going to do a knowledge lecture concerning the Magan text, concerning the descent of Ishtar, and what that means on a whole nother perspective or point of view. Because you can look at it as a spiritual thing, and you can even look at it as a ritual way. But I also wanted to explore this and to present it in a way for other type practitioners, not just Necronomicon practitioners, but even for Necronomicon practitioners. This information is invaluable. It helps you to understand Ishtar, Azonei, and Ereshkigal, and understand that they're the same being, which I'll go more into that next week as I go to explain. Like the last one I did was I think it was the Grain Mysteries, or maybe this is supposed to be Grain Mysteries. But I want to go more into depth about the descent and everything else and how it relates, magically speaking, more in a witchcraft type manner than, high magic, ceremonial, or anything like that. Because as I've been delving into these meditations and into these Azonei workings, for some reason, the more of these you do, the more knowledge comes to you. It's like, the spirit of the book they talk about. Well, in my own personal experience, they talk about the double serpent magic wand. The magic wand itself that Ningazida has is actually known as Gid. The twin serpents are Ferric and Pyrrhic. Those protectors or guardians of the faith. Like I said, I have a lot of things that I wish to share. I won't do it tonight because I wanted to keep this short and sweet. And to wish each and every one of you well, peace, blessings, power. And to let you know I'm still here. I'm just really, really overwhelmed with a few workings personally. But, I am making it through it. And I find that the more things that I'm actually working through, or that, come at me, these are important. These are things I need to actually work through. Like I needed to understand the connection between me and my daemon. I've always felt connected to my daemon. I know my daemon. I know my higher self. I know myself in that sense. But there are details and parts and things that I hadn't quite worked through. I hadn't quite, put the pieces in place. And Gemini, as the Viper of the Azonei, is perfect for that. So anytime you feel like you have a higher nature and a lower nature, just remember one thing. It's one, and you need to make it one. Because your higher self and your lower self, they're one being. They're holding hands, just like the Gemini constellation. With that being said and done, I wish each and every one of you peace, blessings, and power. Till next time.